think so. I think what this comes down to is what it always comes down now with Ryan Garcia. Psychologically, where is he? Mentally, where is he? You know, which Ryan Garcia is going to show up? Does he even know? You know, I think that's what it comes down to. I always say, I've said it for years, 75% of this business is mental. With Ryan Garcia, it might be 95%. I mean, he's not used up.
75% mental. That's the breakdown for most fighters. But for Ryan Garcia, we're looking at 95%, and that single statistic explains everything about the Mario Barrios fight happening next week. Garcia enters as a 2.5 to 1 favorite, but those odds don't tell the real story. The real story is which version of Ryan Garcia walks into that ring, because here's what the bookmakers are betting on. Physical advantages, speed, power, explosiveness, that devastating left hook to the head and body. Garcia has all of that. He's 26 years old, not physically worn down, still in his athletic prime. On paper, this should be straightforward, but boxing isn't played on paper. And Ryan Garcia's last performance proved that talent means nothing when your head isn't right.
A talented, athletic fighter who is not consistent. He's not consistent because mentally, you don't know where he's at in the last couple of years of his life, in his boxing life. We just don't know where he's at, and it's all about that. If you think he's in the right place, then I think at this point in Barrios' career, Garcia being younger, Garcia being, as I said, you know, just fast.
Let's talk about what consistency actually means in boxing. Mario Barrios brings something Garcia hasn't shown in years: predictability. Not in a boring way, but in a professional way. You know exactly what Barrios delivers every single time he steps through those ropes. He's going to throw punches. His output numbers will be solid. That long jab will be working from round one. He'll set everything up behind it, use it to control distance, establish rhythm. He can fight on the outside when he needs to, but he prefers to be aggressive. He'll come forward behind that jab, target the body, make you uncomfortable on the inside. Barrios is a former champion at multiple weight classes. He's experienced, he's technically sound, and most importantly, he shows up. Every single fight, you get 100% effort. He leaves everything in that ring. That's the advantage of fighting someone like Barrios. You can game plan for him because you know what's coming. The question is whether you can handle it.
I guess for that, Bud, would be it's been quiet on the Western Front. If it's quiet on the Western Front with Garcia, that's good news. That's, if there's no noise, then maybe things, maybe things are good, where mentally he's in a good place. And if I'm gonna go with that, I'm gonna say I favor Garcia. Barrios, where you gotta favor Barrios is this: you know what you're gonna get. Garcia, because of what I just brought up, you don't know for sure what you're gonna get. You know what you hope to get, you know what you used to get, you know what you've gotten at times.
Now let's address the elephant in the room. Joe Gosen is in Barrios' corner now. That's Garcia's former trainer. They worked together for 2 fights, both wins, but it wasn't a long-term relationship. So does Gosen have some secret playbook on Garcia? Some insider knowledge that tips the scales? Probably not. 2 fights isn't enough time to uncover psychological vulnerabilities that aren't already public knowledge. Everyone in boxing knows Garcia's strengths and weaknesses at this point. The speed, the power, the inconsistency, the mental fragility. You don't need to have trained him to know that. From a technical standpoint, there's no real advantage. Gosen knows what Garcia can do, but so does every other competent trainer who's watched his fights. And from a psychological standpoint, it doesn't carry much weight either. Garcia wasn't with Gosen long enough for there to be deep personal insights to exploit. What matters more is what it always comes down to with Ryan Garcia. Where is he mentally? Which version shows up? Does he even know which version he's going to be?
As I just mentioned, you got a experienced former champion in different weight classes that will show up to give his all, 100%. He'll leave it in the ring, and you know what he brings. A full effort. He's going to give everything he's got. Garcia, again, Is he going to be the confident kid with all that talent? Or is he going to be the guy that you saw in his last fight where he didn't look like he wanted to be in the ring? He didn't fight with any passion, with any confidence at all. He got dropped early. That didn't do him any favors. That sure as heck didn't help him get him.
Let's get specific about what we're actually evaluating here. Garcia has the physical tools. The speed advantage is real. His hands are faster than Barrios' hands. The power advantage is legitimate. He's more explosive, more quick-twitch athletic. That left hook is a genuine weapon, whether he throws it upstairs or digs it to the body. But none of that matters if he shows up the way he did in his last fight. No passion, no confidence. Got dropped early and never recovered. Looked like he didn't want to be there. That version of Garcia loses to Barrios. Loses badly. The version of Garcia that beat Luke Campbell, that version wins this fight. The confident kid who can use his jab to set up counterhooks, who puts combinations together with blinding speed, who controls distance and picks his spots, that Garcia is too much for Barrios at this stage of his career. So the entire fight comes down to one question: which Ryan Garcia are we getting? And here's the thing about that question. It's been quiet on the Western Front lately. No drama, no social media meltdowns, no bizarre behavior. For Garcia, that silence might actually be good news. Maybe, just maybe, things are stable. Maybe he's in a good mental place. Maybe the chaos has settled. If that's true, if we're getting focused Garcia, then the physical advantages take over and he should win this fight.
Himself together. I think that Barrios sometimes will start a little slow. That might be good because it might give Garcia a chance to get his sea legs, get his legs under him, and gain a little confidence. Get himself together those first couple rounds, get a rhythm going, get it, get to the place that he needs to be the boss, to be the Ryan Garcia who can use the jab, set up the counter hook, put punches together with real quick speed. I don't know what you're going to get with Garcia. That's the question. But I don't know any other way to go with analyzing this fight than that. At the end of the day, I'll guess that Garcia will be together. Barrios is getting older. His last fight with talking about people getting...
Here's where age and activity start to factor in. Barrios is getting older. His last fight was against Manny Pacquiao, and it didn't go the way people expected. Some observers thought Barrios lost that fight. At minimum, it was close enough to raise questions. Think about that for a second. Manny Pacquiao at his age, with his inactivity, still managed to make it competitive. Pacquiao is a legend, an all-time great, but he's not the fighter he was 5 years ago. The fact that Barrios struggled to clearly beat him suggests he's declining. Barrios might start slow in this fight. That's been a pattern for him, and oddly enough, that might actually help Garcia. Those first couple rounds could give Garcia time to find his rhythm, get his legs under him, build some confidence, let him settle in, shake off the nerves, get comfortable. If Garcia can use those early rounds productively, if he can establish his jab and start landing that left hook, he might be able to take control before Barrios really gets going. But that requires Garcia to be mentally present from the opening bell. It requires him to have a game plan and execute it.
Getting older, the legend, the iconic legend, Manny Pacquiao, he didn't look great. He didn't look great in that fight. Some people thought he lost the fight. I'm not saying I thought that, but it was a close fight. And just being that it was a close fight with a fight of the age and inactivity of Manny Pacquiao, even though they forget about the legend, the great fighter, how this guy's a special guy. He's just not just another older guy. He's just not another older guy who hasn't been active. It's Manny Pacquiao. But still, people didn't expect it to be that close. It was. And they're going to take that, and maybe rightfully so, as Barrios starting to definitely get a little long in the tooth, as they say. And a young Ryan Garcia could do something with that. That's my breakdown.
Let's look at the tail of the tape beyond just the physical. Both fighters have a common opponent, Gervonta Tank Davis. Both lost to Tank by knockout. That gives us a baseline for comparison. But here's what makes this fight particularly interesting. Garcia hasn't had his hand raised in victory since December 2023. That was against Oscar Duarte, over a year ago. Barrios has back-to-back draws. His last clear win was in May 2024. So we've got a world title fight where neither guy has won a fight recently. That creates a different kind of pressure. Garcia needs this win to prove he's still relevant, still capable of competing at the elite level. Barrios needs it to prove he's not done, that he's still a legitimate champion. Both guys are fighting with something to prove. The difference is what they're trying to prove. Barrios is trying to prove he's still got it physically. Garcia is trying to prove he's got it mentally, and that's a much harder thing to demonstrate, because you can't train mental stability the way you train your jab. Garcia is more talented. He's younger. He's got more natural ability. But Barrios is more reliable. He's more consistent. He's going to show up and give you everything he's got for 12 rounds. So here's the bottom line on Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios. This fight is a referendum on one thing. Can Ryan Garcia still be the fighter we thought he was going to be? The talent is there. It's always been there. The physical gifts haven't gone anywhere. He's 26 years old, not 36. He hasn't been in a bunch of wars that broke his body down. The speed is still there. The power is still there. The athleticism is still there. What's in question is everything between his ears. Can he handle the pressure? Can he stay focused for 12 rounds? Can he execute a game plan when things get difficult? Can he respond to adversity without falling apart? If the answer to those questions is yes, Garcia should win this fight. He's the more talented fighter. He's got the physical advantages. He's younger and fresher. At this stage of Barrios' career, a focused Garcia should be able to outbox him, outspeed him, and potentially stop him late if he hurts him. But if the answer is no, if Garcia shows up mentally compromised the way he has in recent fights, then Barrios' experience and consistency become the deciding factors. Barrios will grind. He'll throw punches. He'll make it ugly. He'll force Garcia to dig deep and find something that might not be there. The smart money says Garcia wins if he's right mentally. But that's a big if. It's always been a big if with Ryan Garcia. The difference is, now we all know it. The secret is out. Everyone understands that his biggest opponent isn't Mario Barrios. It's himself. This fight happens next week. The live stream will be available right here, and we're going to find out which Ryan Garcia shows up. The talented kid who could have been a superstar? Or the troubled fighter who can't get out of his own way? One of those versions wins this fight easily. The other version might not make it out of the middle rounds. That's what makes this compelling. Not the matchup itself, but the uncertainty. With most fights, you can break down the styles and make a reasonable prediction. With Garcia, you're not predicting a fight. You're predicting a person. And people are a lot harder to predict than fighting styles. So if you're betting this fight, you're not betting on boxing. You're betting on psychology. You're betting that Ryan Garcia has figured out whatever was going wrong in his head. You're betting that the silence over the past few months means stability, not just the calm before another storm. Maybe he has figured it out. Maybe this is the start of a redemption arc. Maybe we're about to see the Garcia that everyone thought would dominate this division. Or maybe we're about to see another disappointment. Another performance that makes us wonder what could have been. That's the fight next week. Not Garcia versus Barrios. Garcia versus Garcia. And that's the fight he's been losing for the past 2 years. Time to find out if that changes.